Every week, millions of Americans make simple choices at the grocery store that quietly shape their future health. Among the rows of colorful packages and familiar brands, there sits a small, often overlooked can. It doesn't cost much. It isn't flashy. But inside could be either one of the most powerful healing foods nature has to offer, or a slow-moving risk that most people never think twice about. That can hold sardines. For some, sardines bring back memories of grandparents opening a tin by the lake, or a strong smell that made you wrinkle your nose as a child. Yet behind their humble appearance lies a fascinating story, one that scientists continue to debate. Some researchers call sardines a true superfood, able to protect the heart, strengthen the bones, and even support the brain. Others warn of hidden dangers like contaminants or excess sodium that could quietly work against your health. Here is the surprising truth. Whether sardines help or harm often depends on knowledge, and that is something most shoppers don't have. In this video, we'll uncover what the science really says about sardines. We'll explore the powerful nutrients that Harvard researchers are studying, the bone-building and brain-boosting benefits, and also the risks most people never hear about. By the end, you'll know exactly how to make sardines work for you and not against you. Welcome to the Elderly Wisdom. If you're new here, we share research-based insights to help older adults live healthier, stronger, and wiser. If this resonates with you, please like this video and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss the knowledge that could change your health journey. Not long ago, researchers writing in the journal Frontiers in Nutrition shared findings that made waves in the world of health. They explained that sardines are not just another food high in omega-3 fatty acids, but something much more special. Inside these fish is what they call a nutrient matrix. It is a natural combination of vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids that work together in perfect balance, doing things for the body that no single supplement could ever match. Think of it like a symphony. A supplement might play one instrument at a time, maybe vitamin D here, or a capsule of fish oil there. But sardines are the entire orchestra. Each nutrient supports the others, creating harmony inside the body that allows healing to happen in a natural and powerful way. Harvard School of Public Health confirmed this with research showing that people who regularly eat fatty fish, like sardines, have a lower risk of heart disease than those who don't. In fact, just 1 or 2 servings of sardines each week was linked to reducing the chances of heart disease by more than 1/3. Imagine your doctor telling you that something as simple as enjoying sardines twice a week could lower your risk of the nation's leading cause of death by 30% or more. That is not marketing, it is hard evidence from some of the most respected scientific minds in America. And the nutrient breakdown is just as impressive. According to the USDA, a small 3-ounce serving of sardines canned in tomato sauce contains almost 1 gram of those vital omega-3 DHA and EPA that are essential for heart and brain health. That same small portion also delivers over 370% of your daily need for vitamin B12, about 1/4 of your daily vitamin D, and nearly all the selenium your body requires. If you were to buy those nutrients in pill form, you would spend far more money and still miss out on the natural synergy that sardines provide. And this is where things take an even more interesting turn. Clinical trials have shown that sardines may not just protect the heart in theory, they may actively improve the very markers that doctors use to measure heart disease risk. Some experts now believe that sardines could be one of the most effective natural foods for heart health ever studied. Break, 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 break. When most people think of medicine for the heart, they imagine prescription bottles lined up in a cabinet or long, complicated visits to the cardiologist. But what if one of the most effective tools for protecting your heart wasn't in a pharmacy at all, but quietly waiting in the canned goods aisle of your local store? Recent clinical trials have given us a glimpse into just how powerful sardines can be for the cardiovascular system. These trials studied people living with type 2 diabetes, a group known to have higher risks of heart disease. One study asked participants to eat about 7 ounces of sardines each week for a full year. The result was a measurable improvement in their omega-3 index, the very marker doctors use to assess heart protection. Another study pushed the amount even higher, with participants eating a little over 3 ounces of sardines 5 days a week for 6 months. Their omega-3 index improved by almost 3%, moving them into a safer category with a lower risk of death from heart disease. This is important because omega-3 fatty acids are not just another nutrient. They directly influence the health of your blood vessels, your cholesterol levels, and the way your heart muscle itself functions. One of their most important jobs is lowering triglycerides. High triglycerides thicken the blood and make it easier for dangerous plaques to form inside your arteries. Over time, that can lead to heart attacks and strokes. By bringing triglycerides down, sardines reduce this risk in a natural, food-based way. What makes sardines stand out from other sources of omega-3, like fish oil supplements, is their synergy inside a sardine. You don't just find omega-3, you find vitamin D, calcium, selenium, and high-quality protein. These nutrients work together in a way that amplifies their benefits. Researchers call this a synergistic effect, meaning that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. This is why a serving of sardines can sometimes outperform a capsule of fish oil in real-world results. For older adults, especially. This matters. As we age, our bodies naturally become more vulnerable to inflammation, clogged arteries, and changes in heart rhythm. Foods that provide broad protection, instead of a single isolated benefit, become priceless tools for maintaining independence and longevity. Sardines, humble as they may seem, belong in that category. The heart is not the only part of the body that benefits from sardines. For older men and women, bone strength is equally important. Falls, fractures, and osteoporosis can quickly rob someone of their mobility and confidence. Doctors often prescribe expensive calcium or vitamin D supplements, but sardines deliver both in one simple package. Here's why this matters. Sardines are one of the few foods where you eat the bones right along with the meat. These tiny, soft bones are rich in calcium, providing about 1/3 of the daily recommended intake in a single serving. But calcium alone isn't enough. Your body needs vitamin D to absorb and use that calcium effectively. And sardines provide that too, sometimes in even higher amounts than calcium itself. This pairing is crucial. Imagine pouring cement without any framework to hold it in place. It would crumble. Calcium is like the cement, but vitamin D is the framework that allows your body to actually put that cement where it belongs, together. They make bones strong and resilient. And here's the fascinating part. The same calcium that builds bones also plays an essential role in heart function. Your heart muscle relies on calcium to contract with each beat, pumping blood through your body. Nearly 99% of the calcium in your body lives in your bones. But the small portion circulating in your blood has life or death importance for your heart. Sardines provide this calcium in one of the most natural and absorbable forms available. Bone health is more than just numbers on a scan. It is the difference between staying active and independent or facing long recoveries in a hospital bed. Every serving of sardines offers a layer of protection against brittle bones, fragile joints, and the chain of problems that often follow a fracture in older age. When you compare that to the cost of supplements or treatments, it becomes clear just how valuable a simple can of sardines can be. While the heart and bones are the most obvious beneficiaries, research is also uncovering powerful connections between sardines and brain health. Omega-3 fatty acids, especially DHA, are vital for the brain's structure and function. In fact, they are a building block for the gray matter that controls memory, focus, and emotions. Studies have shown that pregnant women who eat enough omega-3 give their babies a better chance of healthy brain development. But the story does not end there. For older adults, omega-3 may slow the loss of gray matter and support sharper thinking well into the later years of life. One small study even showed that adults who increased their omega-3 intake had measurable increases in brain volume in areas linked to memory and decision-making. Beyond structure, there is mental health. Omega-3 influence inflammation and hormonal pathways that affect mood. Researchers have found promising links between omega-3 intake and lower risks of anxiety and depression. For seniors facing the challenges of aging, maintaining emotional balance is just as important as keeping the body strong. Sardines, with their natural store of these fatty acids, may be an overlooked ally in preserving not only brain health, but also peace of mind. Before we move forward, I would love to know, have sardines been part of your diet in the past? Or are you just now considering giving them a try? Drop a comment below with a simple yes or no. Sharing your answer not only helps our community connect, but also shows us how many of you are discovering these benefits for the first time. And if you haven't already, take a second to hit that like button. It lets us know this content matters to you and keeps our mission alive. Up to this point, sardines may sound almost too good to be true. They are rich in omega-3 packed with vitamins and carry benefits for the heart, bones, and even the brain. But as with many foods, there is another side to the story, one that most grocery shoppers rarely hear about. Behind the shiny tin and attractive label, there are risks that deserve attention, risks that can quietly build over time if we are not careful. The first concern is contamination. Sardines, like all fish, can sometimes absorb harmful substances from the waters where they live. Heavy metals such as mercury, cadmium, and lead are particularly troubling. These are not nutrients your body needs in trace amounts. They are toxins, and once they accumulate in your system, they can damage nerves, kidneys, and other vital organs. Researchers studying sardines from different regions of the world have found a wide range of contamination levels. In some places, sardines were relatively clean, with metals well below legal limits, but in other regions, the levels were high enough to raise red flags, even exceeding safety thresholds set by European regulators. This tells us that not all sardines are created equal. Where they come from matters deeply. One study comparing sardines from the Mediterranean found that those caught near heavily industrialized areas carried higher levels of mercury and lead, while sardines from cleaner waters were much safer. Similar results were seen in North Africa and parts of South America. This is a reminder that our oceans and rivers are not equal, and the environment where fish live has a direct impact on the food that ends up on our tables. Even more concerning, tests on canned sardines from popular brands revealed a troubling pattern. While sardines are generally low in mercury compared to larger fish like swordfish or tuna, they often test high for arsenic. Arsenic is another toxic element that, in large amounts, can harm the body over time. Consumer tests in the United States have found arsenic levels in some canned sardines high enough that experts recommend limiting how often they are eaten. For most people, the occasional can is not a problem, but when eaten frequently without attention to sourcing, these contaminants could slowly build up, especially in older adults whose bodies may already be under stress from other health conditions. This is why choosing sardines wisely, knowing the brand, the fishing location, and the quality control practices becomes so important. Break. The waters where sardines are caught can make the difference between a healing food and a harmful one. Coastal regions near large cities, industrial zones, or agricultural runoff often have higher pollution levels. Sardines from these waters can carry that pollution right into the can. For example, studies of sardines caught near the Nile Delta in Egypt revealed troubling levels of heavy metals due to agricultural chemicals and industrial waste entering the sea. On the other hand, sardines from cleaner stretches of the Mediterranean or from carefully monitored regions of Portugal and Spain tended to be much safer. This means that when we buy sardines, we are not just buying fish, we are indirectly buying the quality of the water they swam in. Brands that are transparent about their sourcing, that label where the fish were caught, and that follow sustainable fishing practices are usually the ones worth trusting. Another hidden danger that even careful eaters sometimes overlook is sodium. Canned sardines are often preserved in salt, and the sodium content can be surprisingly high. Too much sodium raises blood pressure, strains the kidneys, and increases the risk of stroke. For older adults who may already be managing hypertension, this can quickly become a serious issue. There is also an ironic twist. While sardines are praised for their calcium content, excessive sodium actually makes your body lose calcium through urine. In other words, the calcium you hoped would strengthen your bones may be flushed out if the sardines you are eating are packed in too much salt. For people with a history of kidney stones, sardines can be a double-edged sword. They not only contain sodium, but also purines, compounds that break down into uric acid, a known factor in stone formation. So, while sardines can be a wonderful food for many people, they may not be suitable for everyone, especially those prone to kidney stones or high blood pressure. Fortunately, there are ways to reduce this risk. Choosing sardines packed in water or olive oil instead of those heavily salted can make a big difference. Draining and rinsing sardines before eating them can also help cut sodium levels. These small steps can turn a potential problem into a manageable one. Perhaps the most troubling issue with sardines is not the fish itself, but the inconsistency in quality control across different brands and countries. A large study of canned sardines sold in Brazil found that every single sample contained unsafe levels of arsenic. The researchers concluded that chronic consumption of these products could pose a risk to public health and that stricter surveillance was urgently needed. This is not just a Brazilian problem. Around the world, canned foods sometimes pass through factories with very little oversight, especially when exported cheaply to foreign markets. While the fish themselves may start out nutritious, the lack of consistent quality standards can lead to unsafe products on the shelves. The reality is that no amount of contamination is truly acceptable. Even trace levels of mercury, lead, or arsenic can accumulate in the body over the years. This is why informed consumers need to be extra cautious. It is not enough to grab any can of sardines. You must look for brands with reputations for transparency and safety, certifications, third-party testing, and sustainable sourcing are all good signs that a company is paying attention to quality. Before we move into how to safely enjoy sardines and unlock their full benefits, I'd like to pause and ask, do you check labels when you buy canned foods? Simply typing yes or no in the comments lets us see how many in our community are paying close attention to sourcing. If you learned something new in this section, please take a moment to like this video so more people can discover the truth behind the foods we often take for granted. And remember, your support allows us to keep sharing these science-based insights week after week. After hearing about both the powerful benefits and the hidden dangers, you may be wondering, should I still eat sardines? The answer is yes, if you choose wisely. Sardines, by their nature, are considered one of the safer seafood options compared to larger fish. Unlike tuna or swordfish, sardines live short lives and sit low on the food chain, which means they accumulate far less mercury and other heavy metals. But that does not mean every can is safe. The key is knowing what separates the good from the bad. Look for brands that clearly state where their fish are sourced. Sardines caught in cleaner waters, such as the North Atlantic or responsibly managed regions of the Mediterranean, are generally safer. Companies that invest in sustainable fishing practices also tend to invest in higher quality standards overall. Transparency is everything. If a brand openly shares details about fishing locations, quality testing, and sustainability certifications, that is usually a good sign. If the label is vague, offering little more than packed in oil without any other details, that should raise caution. Once you've chosen wisely, the next question is how often you should enjoy sardines. According to the American Heart Association, 2 servings of fatty fish per week is the sweet spot. A serving is about 3 ounces of cooked fish, or roughly 3/4 of a cup of flaked sardines. This amount provides enough omega-3 and supporting nutrients to protect the heart without significantly increasing your exposure to contaminants. More is not always better. Eating sardines every day may not provide additional benefits for the heart and, depending on the brand, could increase your intake of sodium or trace contaminants. There are also certain groups who should be more careful. Women who are pregnant, planning to become pregnant, or nursing, as well as families feeding young children, should follow U.S. government guidelines for fish consumption. This helps avoid the risk of mercury exposure during sensitive stages of growth and development. For most older adults, though, 2 servings per week is a safe and effective rhythm. It balances the rewards with the risks in a way that makes sardines an affordable, practical addition to a healthy lifestyle. How sardines are prepared and served can make a world of difference. In Portugal and Spain, sardines are celebrated as a delicacy. They are often grilled fresh or preserved in high-quality olive oil. In America, however, sardines have often been overshadowed by canned tuna, but in many ways, sardines are the superior choice. They provide more omega-3, more vitamin D, and significantly less mercury if you are concerned about sodium. Choose sardines packed in water or olive oil instead of those heavily salted or preserved in brine. Draining and lightly rinsing sardines can also reduce the salt content. Pair them with fresh vegetables, whole grain crackers, or a light salad for a nutrient-dense meal that feels satisfying without being heavy. One overlooked advantage of sardines is convenience. They do not require cooking, refrigeration, or complicated preparation. This makes them ideal for older adults who want something quick, healthy, and affordable. A can of sardines can be turned into a complete meal in just minutes, without the fuss of recipes or long cleanup. When chosen carefully and eaten in moderation, sardines can be life-changing. They supply omega-3 fatty acids that lower inflammation and protect the cardiovascular system. They deliver calcium and vitamin D in natural harmony, strengthening bones and muscles. They provide protein for energy and tissue repair, and they may even help support the brain and emotional well-being. Research consistently shows that people who eat sardines and other fatty fish as part of their weekly routine enjoy better long-term health outcomes. They meet guidelines for oily fish intake recommended by the American Heart Association and other health organizations. They are less likely to experience heart attacks, brittle bones, and mood disorders, and they achieve these benefits without relying solely on expensive supplements or complex diets. The real beauty of sardines is their accessibility. They are affordable, widely available, and require little preparation for many older adults living on fixed incomes. This makes them one of the most practical superfoods available. So how can you take advantage of all this knowledge? Start with small, simple steps. The next time you shop for groceries, look at the sardine section. Check the labels for sourcing information. Prioritize brands that pack their fish in water or olive oil and avoid those with heavy brines. Bring home a can or two and try them out. Maybe add them to a salad. Spread them on whole grain toast, or enjoy them with a side of fresh vegetables. Pay attention to how your body responds. Do you feel more energetic? Do you notice better digestion or less inflammation? Stick to the recommended 2 servings per week. This is enough to provide lasting benefits without overdoing it. And most importantly, make sardines just one part of a balanced diet filled with fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other lean proteins. Remember, there is no single magic food, but sardines can be one of the strongest allies in your toolkit for aging well. As we close this journey into the world of sardines, let's pause and reflect. A food so humble, so inexpensive, and so often overlooked can carry remarkable power. Sardines remind us that sometimes the greatest gifts for our health do not come in the form of pills or expensive treatments, but from the simple choices we make at the dinner table. But wisdom is key. Sardines can be healing or harmful depending on how we approach them. The secret lies in knowledge, knowing where they come from, how often to eat them, and how to prepare them in ways that bring out the best and minimize the risks. For those of us in the later seasons of life, these choices matter more than ever. Strong hearts, resilient bones, and clear minds are not built overnight. They are built through steady, informed decisions that add up year after year. Sardines, when chosen with care, can be part of that legacy of health. So, if this video opened your eyes to the science and the truth about sardines, please type the word yes in the comments below. That simple act encourages us to keep producing thoughtful content for you and this community. And if you found this message valuable, don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend who could benefit from it, and subscribe to the Elderly Wisdom channel so you never miss another story grounded in science and compassion. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and remember, knowledge is not just power, it is protection.